It's me, your girl, your best friend, your spooks master, Stormy. I just ate some soup, and I was like, I thought I was done for the day, but I was like, nah, you know what, the soup wants me to continue playing, even though it's already in my stomach. But that's okay. The soup will always be with me. Anyway, whatever they both saw in my face, I care not to know. Bloody hell, I don't even understand what's happening anymore. The tremors continue long after the last of my classes have ended. Although none of my students have commented on it, I've caught a few sharing anxious glances. Every time a pen slips from my hand or my shoulder tense whenever called. How unusual it must be for them to see the normally composed Miss Gales become a bundle of nerves. Even the most boisterous ones have given me less grief today. You think that being on my fourth cup of tea would... Is that weed? Miss Gales, are you smoking some weed? Are you smoking the dank kush? You think being on my fourth cup of tea would provide any sort of comfort? Or is it the fifth? Egad, why does count matter now? The fact that I can't easily shake off this time should tell me something. The last time this happened, I passed it off as some lapse in my part, after having been sick the week before.
And it is a natural conclusion.
Is it? Those are just stories, a centuries-old lore passed by locals to keep children in line. What place doesn't have those? One of my Dawes books even went as far as to describe them as a strong part of Isabella's culture. 3 giants, women who feed on unborn children straight from the mother's womb, or hell, there are even stories about a demon baby. That's me. I'm the demon baby. All the folklore that never had a single smidgen of truth to it, most probably told to scare off natives there back in the old days. Much like every other one in every other place, the world is much more universal than people care to think. But looking at it from where I'm standing now, after staring right into the eyes of that woman, after the things I've been hearing and feeling, perhaps there really is more to that bloody letter than some awful Halloween prank.
Perhaps Isabella's right all along.
Gee, you think? A terrible thing is true. Though, that thought doesn't linger long, thankfully. Soon the ringing of my mobile takes my attention away from it. Hey! An unfamiliar name flashes before me on the screen, lights up, and my brows knit together. Marianne McCullough. Staring hard at the screen, I try to remember when I entered this person on my contact list. It takes a moment, but it clicks. My eyes zero in on the book lying wide open on my table. Loaned out from the library almost a week ago. I met the woman there by sheer coincidence, a fellow history buff apparently. We were after the same book, but in the end she'd given it to me under the condition that I call her once I'm done. To be honest, I've completely forgotten about it until now, and well, I haven't really taken a peek at it until today. Give me 2 seconds. You know, every time I have to take a second to compose myself or, like, deal with something outside of recording, I always say the exact same thing. I'm like, oh, just give me, like, 2 seconds. Anyway, normally I'd be done with the whole volume of size a few days after taking it out, about 1 or 2 depending on how busy I am. But finding a chance to sit down and read through it has been more difficult lately than I anticipated. One moment I'm busy simply grading worksheets, attending a movie premiere the next, then somebody suddenly inviting me out for one reason or another. Days later, a friend ends up in a trauma center of the local hospital and fighting for her life. There simply isn't enough time to breathe and get a grip on things. I have been flipping through the pages of a said book moments ago, then never really reading anything and merely hoping for a distraction. To no avail. My phone gives out another ring, and this time I do not hesitate to answer.
Marianne?
Hello! Here I was starting to wonder if it was a bad time to call.
I miss you.
Is it?
No, not at all. I dismissed my last class a few minutes ago. I'm pretty much free for the rest of the afternoon. Unless something comes up. Is this about last time? The book?
Not really. I was hoping to ask you about some other thing.
Oh, sure. What about?
You grew up in this city, didn't you?
It's a peculiar question to ask someone you've just met, but I answer her nevertheless. I'm more curious where she's heading with it by starting with that.
Born and raised. 3rd-generation migrant. Why do you ask?
So, you must be familiar with the local lore. The, stories?
Quite. If I'm going to teach about history, I'd like to think I am, yeah? But a family friend would be a better person to ask. If you want, I can contact him for you.
No, let's just keep this thing between us, okay? It's nothing too big. Alright. I really don't know how else to put this without sounding a bit crazy. But things have been really, odd. Do you remember the mansion I mentioned back when we met? My current project?
In hindsight, I should have expected it to lead to this. She must not have lived here long, if she's asking about that now. It didn't take a week with Isabella when she arrived, but that's Isabella. Superstitions down to the last hair. Though, it wouldn't be too far off to think Marianne has only started thinking about this recently. She's working on their damned house itself. I must admit, even I'm curious now despite living here for so many years and having so many chances to look it up before.
The Ermengarde mansion, yes?
Yes, that one. And, the thing is... Oh dear, this is a bad idea. You know what? Just forget I ever called you about this. It must have been the sunny weather. It's making me sick and see stupid things.
See things.
No, wait. It's all right. I don't mind.
There's a moment's pause before she responds again. She's right in that. This silly thing to talk about, especially between what I assume two people who are pretty grounded on their beliefs with regards to these things. I won't blame her if she hesitates.
I can't believe I'm asking you about this.
It's fine. Why don't you just think of it as some form of research?
Well, all right. But after this, we're going to forget we ever had this talk.
My lips will be sealed. Now, what is it about the mansion?
Just, what do you know about it? The general gist. The place is past. What happened to the owners? Anything you can give me.
Let's see. To start off,
I do my best to give her a concise summary from the time the house was commissioned 400 years ago and who had built it. Up to the point it got deserted after the last heir's death, and the deed was passed on to the Ermengarde's nearest relatives. Frankly, if it weren't for those urban legends persisting, the house would have already faded into obscurity long ago. Demolished, even. These are all nothing she probably hasn't heard of before, yet there's dissatisfaction in her tone once I finished.
That's all there really is to it?
as far as I know. There's this little bit I forgot to mention about Lady Charlotte Ermengarde's death, but most of those are just theories. Aside from that, this is really everything we've been teaching all these years. Should there be anything more?
No mention of any other weird stuff? Other crazy stories? Or a letter of some sort?
My blood runs cold. Any warmth and comfort the tea I've drank has given me prior has instantly been drained out of me. The phone creaks softly as my light hold on it turns into a firm grip. This whole letter bullshit. It's bullshit, right? I'm not saying that wrong. It's starting to turn into more than a coincidence.
None that I've heard or read of. What does a letter have to do with this?
Oh, no. It was just something I came across. Ignore it. Random thoughts, you know?
Haha, random lol XD.
By the way, I need to run. Thanks for answering my questions.
Aw, no, Marianne. She ends the call abruptly with only a clipped goodbye, leaving my mind heavy with more thoughts. The mood around my classroom has gone considerably denser in the light of what little I've gleaned from that conversation. I don't think Marianne's lying about her intent. Her interests are genuine. I'd give her that, but she's left a lot of things out. I don't get the sense that she's only asked because something's happening around her too. And if she hadn't mentioned the letter, I probably wouldn't have made the connection.
Just what the hell did we get ourselves into?
Of course, there's still a lot of confusing details in this. All of these are just assumptions. No concrete conclusions to be formed with what we have, and if we want to find out what we're really dealing with, I think Marianne's right. There might be something more to those stories, as absurd as it sounds. The very place that gave us the letter might tell us something beyond what we know. And tomorrow night, I have a few hours of the chance at the housewarming party. Totally not an exciting thought, since the place is privately owned, I can't just wander around. But it's enough reason to keep the dread at bay, as I step out of the room ready to put an end to this day. Fuck! God damn it, Luke! Leave me alone! However, all those good vibes disappear into thin air when I run headfirst into Luke. There's really something in this man. Regardless of how much my opinion of him has changed over the span of a few hours, he simply blasts through every good impression people have on him, without care or thought. He doesn't even need to open his mouth, his mere presence does it. In all honesty, I think he's the kind of guy only a mother can love.
You're still here?
Obviously. Who do you think standing in front of you?
Some ugly guy.
An ass.
Yeah.
Oh, come on, Daisy, you've done better than that. Losing your touch?
Luke, I don't have time for this. I'm heading home, and your face is the last thing I want to see before I leave. What do you want?
Belatedly, I notice his hand. Partly raised, almost poised for a knock. At a slight lift of my eyebrow, he quickly drops it and turns to Kylie. Oh yeah, because the whole thing happened where she ran. She's standing a few steps away from him, holding her hands behind her back and towing at something on the floor with the tip of her shoe. Then, he proceeds to make vague gestures at me and the child. He resembles a fish flopping for air, with the way he's moving his arms, though I think he's trying to urge her to speak up.
Munchkin, I thought you wanted to tell her something.
You do it, Tio.
This wasn't my idea, darling.
Don't worry. I won't tell Tia what you told me the other day. And this morning.
Luke exhales, rolling his eyes at the ceiling, and maybe praying for the universe to grant him more patience. He knows a losing battle when he sees one. He may act worse than a 5-year-old throwing a tantrum at times, but he's no match for an actual child. Nothing better than being served a dose of his own medicine, huh? Once his frustrations has been simply... Wait, let me let me try that again. Once his frustrations have been promptly let out, he points a rude finger at me. I do my best to stare the offending digit down, but I can already hear the demand before it's even out of his lips.
You, come with us.
Hello?
What makes you think I will?
Because little Rugrat here is upset and worried, and it's your bloody fault. I've no idea what happened this morning, but if you don't come with us, I won't be hearing the end of it from her. So do me a favor, Daisy, and just be glad I'm inviting you.
You're asking for a favor, and you can't be bothered to be polite? I don't know. It's been a really busy day for me. I kind of miss my couch.
Daisy, you just say yes.
A pause follows, almost too dramatic. Afterwards, his face twists into something between a grimace and a smile. As it happens, he appears like he's in a lot of physical pain. You think the man is getting an aneurysm by simply being polite.
Please?
Tia said it'll be his treat.
What? I said no such thing, Munchkin. I only agreed to this because you requested it. I'm under no obligation to feed her.
You have a lot of money, dude. You can afford it.
I promise I'll be quiet the next time I visit.
Oh, all right, but just one meal and make it the cheapest.
He and Ashton will get along famously on that department. Funny you say that since he's kind of, trying to put Luke behind bars for some reason. On a different front, the offer of free dinner does sound enticing, however half-heartedly given it is. Mostly because Kylie has wisely put on her puppy eyes, and by the second I find all my choices slipping away from me.
See, Miss Pink? It'll be fun. You don't have to feel sad anymore, okay?
Oh, well,
My mobile buzzes from my pockets, cutting me mid-sentence, and for a second I'm spared from the act of giving an answer I'll regret either way. Fishing the gadget out, I wave a hand at him to excuse myself. A disgruntled expression is on Luke's face before I turn away. I'd be lying if I said it didn't amuse me. He's as eager to be done with this as I am, but what can I do? Checking a message from Ooh. Checking a message from Ashton shows up. Oh. I don't have an Ash voice yet. Hey, Becca. All my voices are the exact same. Hey, Becca, I'll be around Samwell this evening. Need to meet someone in the area. Might have to drop by yours and Isabella's place after. See ya. Oh. Just the usual. Unlike what he does to Zachary, Ashton has the decency to let us know when he's dropping by, or he's in the area for some business. From the way it's phrased, it sounds to be the latter. Either way, I'm glad he's at least aware of that boundary. Not that Isabella is ever going to let him leave the building unscathed, if he ever pulls the same stunt he does with the other man. I cringe to imagine what she'll do to him. Except she won't be there if that scenario ever comes to pass, while she's stuck in that hospital. Sighing, I slip the gadget back into my pocket. But looking up to see Luke's utter impatience on his face, I now face a different dilemma. The two of them are still waiting, and knowing the kind of person Luke is, this is already a grand gesture of goodwill coming from him. All it pleases his godchild. His denials aside, it's easy to tell he's really fond of Kylie from his actions alone. I kinda hate to ruin that.
Well, Daisy, we're waiting here.
On the other hand, there's Ash. His message doesn't exactly imply he's going to wait, or he's expecting me to be there, but there are matters I hope to discuss with him in person, to put it simply. Housewarming parties matter. With inviting Isabella out of the question, I only have Zachary and Ashton. Although the former has already made it clear he's busy this week, and well, Ashton has been my first choice from the start. Even after what I heard, or the fact that he detests attending gatherings like this. It's the company that counts. We can be miserable together. But that's the problem, isn't it? He hates them. It's very likely the answer will be a flat no. I'd rather not hear that. If by some miracle he agrees to it, he'll probably be sulking the whole party. Not really a tough choice when you put it like that, still. I made a promise. I made one promise, and that was I'm trying to get Rebecca and Ash together. Even though I'm so interested in Luke, I have to stick to that promise. I like me a good romance. So I'm gonna go talk to Ash. Zachary. Yes, Luke, I'm sorry. Except I'm not, you suck. Haha. Though, when you look at it closely, it isn't much of a difficult decision to make. First and foremost, no matter where I look at this, it isn't appropriate to some degree. Disregarding Luke's honest intentions, I've only ever known the man for a grand total of 2 days, including today. If I'm going to be thoroughly specific, I'll give it a grand total around 10 hours. By all means, that's not enough reason for me to join them for dinner, even if he says Kylie's the one who requested it. To other people, it won't appear as innocent as he makes it out to be, and if there's one ugly thing about this city, it's the place's penchant for inane gossip. One little spark, it'll spread like wildfire. Who knows how far it'll go, how many ears it'll reach. What if Ashton hears about it? I'd rather not think about the consequences to that. I've got enough on my plate lately as it is. Being at the center of a rumor mill, along with this man, in whatever form it takes, sends unpleasant chills down my spine. My answer must have already shown in my face, as Kylie's smile immediately dissolves into a pout.
You're not gonna join us, are you?
I'm sorry, Kylie. I'd love to, but I have other things to do. Another time, maybe? A friend just texted me about something urgent, and he wants to meet tonight.
Just say it's a date, Daisy. The little rugrat will understand. She's not an infant. No need for blatant lies.
Heat instantly crawls to my face at his baseless insinuations. Oh, what I would give for another chance to put a real dent on his skull.
What even gave you that idea? And even if it is, why do you care? Stop sticking your nose in other people's affairs.
Is he gonna whip back with exactly what Rebecca did, where he's like, "Oh, it's my affair now."
Oh, your face says it all, woman. You think I won't recognize those longing looks?
There isn't a look, There isn't a look, all right?
Sure, whatever helps you sleep at night, Daisy.
You already have a story written inside that head of yours, don't you?
Oh, please. It's not that interesting. The color of your face does suit you, though. Matches the hair. Well, come on now, Munchkin. I'll just buy you an extra glass of that parfait.
With extra strawberries?
I'll get you a basket full if you want. As long as you behave. And no complaints if they don't have enough syrup again. Deal?
Deal. Have fun with your date, Miss Pink.
Thanks. Luke's already leading the child away before I can correct her. Upon reaching the end of the hall, however, he doesn't miss his chance to shoot me another one of those infuriating winks. Does he really think women enjoy those? I'd sue him for harassment if I can. Though I must admit, the two of them walking together hand in hand is an endearing sight in itself. It's something to mull over, along with every other confusing and frustrating thing about this guy. Some other time, though. Ashton's waiting. Ooh, Ashton's waiting! Anyway, thank you so much for listening. You know, if I'll bring this up again, like, towards the end of the series, whenever that'll be, but, like, if you're interested, if anybody watching this is interested in me, like, going back and not replaying the game, because I'm not doing another 20 hours of this, but just to see, like, what the other branching routes will be, like, I'd maybe be down for that if y'all are. But anyway, thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate it, and goodbye!